Բաքսի ուրեմն իդեալ։ Փոխարինեք ձեր 5-ացան Բաքսի Eco 4S գեր ժամանակակից կաթսայով։ Մանրամասները easyam-system.am.
Garo Paylan will sit down with the first analytical tonight. Mr. Paylan, thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you for having me.
You're no longer an MP in Turkey. Why?
I was in the Turkish parliament for 2 terms, almost 10 years, and I tried to make Turkey as a democracy, which would be beneficial for Armenia as well. But unfortunately, during my service in the Turkish parliament, Turkish democracy deteriorated and things went in a bad direction, and Erdogan took all the power. There are no checks and balances between the parliament, between the government and the judiciary, and Erdogan controls everything, unfortunately. It is almost a one-man ruled country now. So parliament has no power. So I didn't want to run again. Then I decided to play a non-partisan role. Now I am in Washington, D.C. and working for a think tank, Carnegie Endowment for Peace. I'm working for there, and I'm still struggling. I'm still working on Turkish-Armenian normalization process and peace in the South Caucasus.
We have seen numerous meetings between special representatives. We have seen the political will on the side of the Armenian government to have open borders with Turkey, but we see that there is little or no progress at all. Is Turkey sincere in their desire to open the borders?
You know, I believe we shouldn't talk about countries' sincerities, because all the countries have interests, and including United States, France, England, India, doesn't matter, or China, or Armenia, or Azerbaijan. Every country cares about their interests first of all.
What's their true intention?
Actually, there was intention. When I was in the parliament, I really remember that several times, actually. In 1996, let's say, there was an intention, but unfortunately we couldn't just establish that peace. In 2008, there was a peace during that football diplomacy, and there was a will, but unfortunately there was a window of opportunity, but we couldn't benefit from them. And nationalists from both sides, especially from the Turkish side, but Armenian nationalists as well, unfortunately torpedoed those processes. And Azerbaijan was not in favor of Turkish-Armenian normalization, and Azerbaijan put pressure on Erdogan and to end that 2008 processes. Now we have another window of opportunity. After another catastrophe, we lived the catastrophe in Artsakh in 2021 and 2023 exodus from Artsakh. I call it a genocide again. Unfortunately, it was an ethnic cleansing, or I call it a genocide. But after that, especially after 2020 war, Turkey saw that Turkey didn't have any leverage in the South Caucasus. Russia had that leverage. Turkey played a role in that war, but Turkey thought they would have more leverage over Caucasus, but Russia had that leverage without just throwing any bullet or putting their pressure on the Caucasus. So Turkey, just after that war, I somehow talked with the government and convinced them about playing a constructive role. Erdogan so much was in favor of opening the border and normalizing relations with Turkey, and because Erdogan's perception was terrible in the Western countries, and he wanted to show West that he could play a constructive role. But unfortunately, then the Ukraine war broke out, and Erdogan again became an important leader because of that war. I benefited from that war. He lost his interest, and Western powers didn't give any Erdogan interest, any carrot, or they didn't give him any credit. So Erdogan is an opportunist leader. He always makes this calculation. What am I going to lose with opening the border and normalizing relations, and what am I going to get? Aliyev always signaled him that he will be unhappy if he just opens the border and normalizes the relation without his permission, because he is selling him natural gas and oil, maybe cheap natural gas. He's just giving that threat that I am just financing your economy, I'm sending you money, so wait for me. So Erdogan makes that equation that, I might lose something from Azerbaijan. And also Putin doesn't want this peace, as you know. Putin will be unhappy, and maybe Erdogan will lose some political leverage or money. So let's say it is $10 billion, $20 billion that he's going to lose. He's looking at the Western countries. What is he going to get? He has some demands from the Western countries, but Western countries is not giving him any credit because Turkey is no longer a democracy. Even Erdogan is praising Hamas, so Western countries is not giving him any credit. So he's just waiting. And unfortunately, Aliyev is ruling Turkey's Caucasus policy. This is, and then this conflict becomes a frozen conflict. Turkey should play a constructive role because Turkey will be the biggest beneficiary if we can establish this peace.
We see a protracted peace process in South Caucasus. We see on the one hand, the sincere political will on the side of the Armenian government
Yes.
to open, to have relations with Azerbaijan, to have peace. But on the other hand, what we see is that Azerbaijan sets forth new preconditions every time. What is the role and responsibility of the international community to help peace bring peace to pass in South Caucasus?
You know, Europe, unfortunately, was a big power, but unfortunately, lately, Europe is building walls around its borders, and Europe's right-wing politicians are taking power, unfortunately. So they don't have a broader vision about Caucasus reaching to Indo-Pacific, and Caucasus being really crossroads. If Europe takes more responsibility about establishing peace in the Caucasus, Europe will be the biggest beneficiary of it, maybe. Europe, unfortunately, doesn't have that kind of a broader vision. That is why they don't take responsibility. But USA can take this responsibility to encourage Europe, to encourage Turkey to play a constructive role. That can be the really game changer. And lately I heard that Turkish foreign minister is going to go to Brussels in the coming month, I guess, and he is going to meet with all the European foreign ministers. This invitation came after 5 years. I hope this is going to be a game changer. And Turkey wants customs union modernization from Europe because Turkish economy is suffering, and Turkish economy minister wants customs union modernization. It is going to help Turkish economy and boost Turkish exports. So I guess what we can do is Europe needs to ask Turkey to play a constructive role in return to giving customs union modernization. Because things work in Erdogan's mind like this: giving something, taking something back. This happened like Sweden's NATO accession process, as you know. Erdogan was dragging his feet about just saying yes to Sweden's NATO accession. Then what he wanted was F-16s. He got it from Mr. Biden, USA. Then he signed the deal for Sweden's accession process. I guess what we need to do is this, because Turkey is no longer a democracy, no longer let's say, they don't so much care about human rights, democracy, but Erdogan cares about transactionalism. So he needs to get something, to give something in return. He looks, unfortunately, to the Caucasus like this to play a constructive role. He is waiting for some kind of a credit coming from the West, but it is not coming yet.
If we follow your line of thought, the US is the only country that can have a say in the peace process.
Of course. Yeah, but the problem is this: if Erdogan keeps on praising Hamas every day, as you know, Israel is the most important country in US politics. So any US government cannot take any steps to just talk with Erdogan. I know that there would be meetings between Mr. Erdogan and Mr. Biden, and South Caucasus would be one of the cases on that list. Then it is cancelled because of Erdogan's praising Hamas every day, and Mr. Biden and Erdogan couldn't make that meeting. And in that meeting, I'm sure there will be transactional talks about I want this, you give this, I take this, and Mr. Biden would ask him to, what about, why don't you try to convince Mr. Aliyev to sign this deal? So he can do it. I guess in this world there is one leader who can convince Mr. Aliyev. It is Mr. Erdogan. But if Erdogan doesn't play a constructive role, Aliyev has a comfort zone to just drag his feet, because it is, I guess, the nightmare of Mr. Aliyev to sign this deal, because he uses an Armenian thought as it is his only card to continue his reign, his legacy. Because if he signs the deal, then his people is going to ask him why Armenians are getting richer, why we are still poor, I guess. It is his nightmare. So maybe that is why he always finds new pretexts to not to sign the deal.
Are you saying that the peace process, is at a dead end? And if not, what's the way out?
No, this is a window of opportunity, but I have deep concerns. This region is unstable and will be unstable, and the world have entered a dark era. We need to understand this. And in this dark era, in the Middle East, there are earthquakes like Israel and Gaza issue, Palestine issue, and there will be earthquakes. We can see a broader war between Iran and Israel. So we shouldn't wait. This is the window of opportunity, and we should try to convince Azerbaijan to sign this peace deal now and continue border demarcation, open the borders, and have good relations with our neighbors. Because, with closed borders, unfortunately, Azerbaijani regime, Aliyev, and Turkish nationalists benefit from hatred cycle. If we open the borders, I guess we will be the biggest beneficiary, because we need some more time. We need to buy more time to just modernize our army to deter the coming threats. And I guess the biggest guarantee is the peace. If we can establish peace, we don't need to spend so much money on our army. That should be. So I guess all the Armenians all over the world needs to be in favor of a peace, but a just peace, of course. We should try to make this peace as just as possible for it to be a durable peace.
Moscow and Baku have intensified talks of the so-called Zangezur corridor. The Armenian government has come up with the idea of the Crossroad of Peace, which is a whole system of infrastructure. How can the Crossroad of Peace become a reality? Because in essence, the whole region will benefit from it, whereas if Azerbaijan gets what they want, only Azerbaijan will be the beneficiary.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, when you look at the Crossroads of the Peace map, it's a great map, actually. Mr. Pashinyan have just showed it again. But if you look at the broader map, it is only a small land, actually, coming from Europe to China, India to Turkey, Black Sea to Mediterranean Sea. It is a broader project. A master plan needs to be really worked out. But unfortunately, Europe and United States is not working on that master plan. No, I guess Crossroads of Peace needs to be worked with Azerbaijan, Turkey, Georgia, and European countries as well. And I guess it needs to be financed by some Western organizations. So I guess that is what I am trying to do in Washington, D.C., trying to convince U.S. institutions, European institutions to work on a master plan, a broader plan, which would connect not only Azerbaijan, Armenia, and Turkey, because Armenia is a landlocked country. It is going to be a lifeline for us. It's going to be a lifeline only for us, for Azerbaijan as well, because Georgia is lurching towards Moscow. So Azerbaijan let's say, shouldn't only bet on Georgia or Kazakhstan, let's say. Kazakhstan is so much in favor of this peace because they know that if this peace happens, it's going to be a lifeline for Kazakhstan as well. Why India is so much interested in Armenia? Because it is another trade route will go through Iran, Armenia, towards Georgia, towards Black Sea than Europe. It is a great thing. So we should benefit from these ideas. Which, of course, there are so many catastrophes that we lived. But we shouldn't get stuck in the past. If we cannot have future, we will never ever find justice in the past. Because might will be right in this world. If you are strong, you can find justice in the past. If you are weak and you are a landlocked country, I guess just like unfortunately we tried so hard. I have full respect. I tried so hard in Turkey to find justice about genocide, and still we are trying to find justice about Arsa. But only if we are strong, we shouldn't forget, we can find justice about the catastrophe that we suffered in Arsa. And only if we are strong and have good relations with Turkey, let's say, we can find justice about Armenian genocide. And only a democratic Turkey can recognize the Armenian genocide, let's say. So for this, we need to mitigate the hatred between us and we need to build good relations. Then I guess someday, Turkey will again be back on the democratic path, and we can start talking about the past as well. But we need to build future first. Then I guess in the coming years we will talk about the past and trying to find justice about the past with our neighbors.
Thank you one more time for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Garo Pelian sat down with the First Analytical tonight.